Hello everyone, welcome to JS Gigs and my name is Deepak. Here in this tutorial, we are going to cover remaining part of the app. The idea here is that we are going to be basically logging into this application. Post login, we will reach to the application where the student entry form resides, and we will see how to test the student entry form. Right, and then in the student entry form, you may notice that we have a lot many inputs of different varieties, such as plain text input, the calendar input. We also have Textarea and things like that. So we are going to be seeing in Cypress how do we test all of these, and we are going to be seeing in the application that you see on your screen right now. So without further ado, let me quickly log into this application and show you what exactly I mean by that. Click on login, and this is the view student, which is something we have already tested in the previous tutorial. We're going to be testing the add student. So here in the add student, you will notice that the moment you click on it, this form opens up, right? And this form is pretty much a similar sort of a form that we have tested during the login, except the fact that this is a little more comprehensive form, right? And it also has a date of birth column, right? And please note that we are not really going to be testing all the errors and everything. And if you want to know more about like how to test the errors and stuff like that, you can watch my previous tutorial where I've spoken about particularly the component testing and where I've done the login button testing. So here in this tutorial, I'm going to be covering just the basic of it. If you want to know more, please check out my login video tutorial. So here in this tutorial, the moment you land on this particular page, the user would basically key in the username and password and then full name, origin, state declaration and things like that, right? And we will also see that if how to particularly open the birth date, and notice that this really opens up, right? And please note that it is basically a material design that we've used for this form particularly, and we are going to be testing the same, right? So let me take you back to the code editor, and here at the code editor I'm going to be creating a different file with the name e2e login, e2e student entry, e2e login student entry. Let me create this, and let me do a describe, and inside the describe function I'm going to be basically going to be doing the testing. So we will say it also needs to have a callback function. So let me write it down this way, or otherwise let me just remove it right here. So I'm not going to be accepting any suggestion from my GitHub Copilot at this moment. And let me write the first one. So before each, and I hope that you're aware about these functions already. If not, I'll suggest you better check my video tutorial already, which is available on my webpage, which is available on my YouTube channel, where I've spoken about what these before each, after all, before all, all these functions. I've given a quick introduction. I've also told you, I've also shown in those tutorial how to basically make use of it in a comprehensive way, right? So let me close this, press semicolon over here, and do a callback function once again. And I'm going to be basically moving to, because I've already given the base URL, so I'm not really going to be doing this. So let me do this, and before each part is done, I'm going to be writing the test. The first one is, let's say, navigate to add student form, right? So let me write it down. Okay, so in the navigate to add student form, please note that we have already created a command in the previous tutorial, and I'm going to be showing you where exactly it resides, just in case if you have skipped the previous one. So in this command, what I essentially do is that I try to log in, and for the login, there is a function that needs to be called, and that function needs to be provided with the email and password. Once you provide the email and password and call this login function, it'll get login into the page, and it'll get login into the app, and it'll take you to the dashboard page. So here I'm going to be writing cy.login, since the login is a command which is available across the application, and that's why you're able to access it like this, right? So let me write And I think only the password is. So after this, line number 13, the application would be, the user would be able to log in. And after that, I'm going to be basically looking at a label precisely where you have the add student, and then click on it so that you can see this form. But before this, I want to show you something. So what I'll do is I'll just show you my entire desktop once again. And I'm going to be opening this. And once this opens up, I'll show you a quick way to how to read about these elements, where to click, and how easy it is in the Cypress to capture those. So let me come down here and let me click on, let's say, dashboard. Right, that's something which we already had seen before. So here, if you notice that there is an inspect, there is this symbol. So once you click on it, and let's say you want to know what this really is, so you can basically see this, or otherwise come here, and then this is this is how you can basically access the add student tab. So how do we put that in the code? All I need to do is just copy this, and again I'll take you back to the code editor of mine. And in the code editor, what I would do is, like, I'll just write it down like cy.get, and then I'm going to be clicking on it. So the moment you click on it, it'll log in, it'll take you to the dashboard page, and after that, there are some animation that runs in the background. So I want those animation to finish. So that's why I'm taking a wait for about 2 seconds. And once this 2 second wait is done, what I'm going to be doing is I want to see if my student entry form is visible or not, right? So again, I'll just take you back to the entire desktop of mine. And let's say, let me click on it here, add student, and here is the form that I want to be seen. I want user to see. How do we access this forms? It's fairly simple. The class of this particular form is student entry form. I just need to copy this and take you again to the code editor of mine. And here at the code editor, I'm just going to be writing this. And what I really need is that it should be visible, right? And then what next I need is, I also need to know how to fill other details of the form, right? But I believe this has to be the first case. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just take a copy of it and then start writing the test case to fill in the form details, right? So next is fill the form, and I don't think so I need to submit this. I'll just write it down like this. I need to log in and then click on it, wait for 2 seconds. And then what I really need is that I want to basically key in all the values. So in order to key in those values, and then I need to know their addresses, right? So how do I figure out the addresses? Again, I'll share the entire desktop of mine, and I'll again make use of this particular feature. Come here, click on it, and here you go. It is a mat input free. Let me just copy this and take you back to. So once you're here, I want to see if I can fill the values for the remaining one. So I need to. We have already figured this out, that is going to be mat input 3. And then let me see how this one is. It's going to be 4, 5, 7, 6, and I think that's how it's going to go. So let me just write down in the code the sequential manner. So here, what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just take like I'll put in all the values which are required and just key in those. So let me just write it down like this. So you may notice here, at input 6 and input 7, the reason why I have given the force as true is because here in these two inputs there was some validation in the background, and which is why if you write plain yes, just the way you have written in the line number 27 was really creating a little problem, and it was not really recognizing because in the background there was some validation was running, and then it used to control and update the form control. That is why this force true was required here, and that's why I've kept it like this. And similarly, I have input all the details over here for all the other form. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is like I'll just run this once again and just close, start this, come here and student entry. Okay, it's like some error. Okay, let me figure this out. It is the username, and then I think this is good. And let's see what is the next error. It has to be username, and there you go. Now you can see that I was able to fill in all the details, and immediately after I filled in the details, the submit button also got enabled. So let's say even if I remove one, it gets disabled, right? Let me correct this. Please note that these kind of a validation test we have already done in the login, and I'm not going to be repeating this here again. But I just wanted to show you like how it really works, and that's the reason why I've come over here, right? So all these things are properly done. There's another thing that we have not really covered so far is basically this calendar input. Okay, when this calendar input, what happens the moment you click on this particular SVG icon, it opens up this type of widget, and then you will be able to select the details on it, right? But what we really need is that we want to ensure that material calendar opens up, right? For this I'm going to be writing another test case in which I'll cover specifically just this, that user is able to open this particular widget. And let me just inspect what is like how you can uniquely identify this particular widget is let's see how it goes. Or otherwise, let me take you to the browser, see how it really works. What I'm going to do is like I'll just try to select this. So it is the Met calendar, right? So what I'm going to do is like I'll just click on this particular icon and then wait for a moment and then this should open up. So it basically will wait for Mat calendar to open up, and that's what I'm going to be testing now. Let me take you back to the code editor of mine, and here at the code editor I'm going to be writing another test case. So let me just copy this down below over here, and then let me write down the test for this. So I'm going to be doing check if calendar opens. I'm going to be logging in first, waiting for 2 seconds, and then what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to be seeing if the student entry is visible, and after that I'm going to be writing a logic in which I'll see if I'm able to on the date picker. And once I click on this date picker toggle, um, and then my calendar must be visible. So let me just write it down this as well. So I think we have written this piece as well. So it should be good. So now let me share the whole of my desktop and show you what is really working. So since I've already saved it and it's running in the background, let's see if this works. There you go. So now you can see that all of these inputs have worked and there is no problem message, right? What I do is like I'll just share the entire desktop, or rather the code editor of mine, and I'm going to be committing this. Let me do this, close everything. I think the repository is clean now. So what I'm going to do is like I'll just create another file here, and I'll keep the name of the file as contact us. Now I'm going to be sharing the whole of my desktop here, and this is the page that we need to test. Okay, so I believe that we have already given you a brief of how to test these forms in the previous tutorial, right? So I'm just going to be repeating exactly the same. So let me share the code editor of mine, and then in the code editor I'm going to be running this, right? I've already written this. So again, before I go anywhere, I really need this to be enabled, right? I need to be login, and then I should be able to log in. And what I'll do is like I'll just remove this copied code, and because I don't think so I need them anymore. And before each CY login, all right. So once you come here, you're able to log in, and what I'm going to do is like I don't think so I need these two statements either. Let me share the whole of my desktop and let me try to read these values. Okay, so click here, mat input 18, 19, 20. Okay, so let me just do the same what we have done in the previous tutorial. Rather, I can copy these values from the previous one. Okay, so the message that I've written is hi pair, and then after this I also need to see that if I click a right tab right there at the top, so let's just see again and try to figure out how we can click on it. So here's the one. So it's gonna be label 2. So copy this, put right here, click, wait for 2 seconds, input there, and I think we're good. So now let me run this once again. Close, RE to E, move this, and there you go. We're able to log in all, we are able to key in all the details properly. I will show you how to do a cleanup task post you complete your test. So let me take you to the documentation, and I'll just share the entire browser of mine, right? And then, okay, so here is the documentation of Cypress where clicked on other commands. And if you look closely over here, you may notice that there is one particular command called clear all cookies, clear all local storage, clear all session storage, clear cookies, and clear local storage. So all these cleanup tasks, say for example, in your login, you need to write down something in the local storage or probably in the session storage. After your tests are finished, then you will actually have to clear all your storage and other things to make the slate clear once again, right? So all of these commands you can actually find in the commands list and can run it the way you like, right? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening it all that while. We are pretty much done with the Cypress tutorial. Please note that I've just covered the basic part at this moment, and in case if I have missed on something and you particularly want to know, please do write on the comment section below, and we're more than happy to create a separate video tutorial around it. But I think this is all about the basics of Cypress, and I'll just quickly give you a recap of what we have exactly learned in this entire series. We spoke about, what is the difference of Cypress with Selenium and other popular frameworks out there. We also realized that, what are the merits of using a Cypress, because it is architecturally different from any other Selenium based framework. And we then spoke about how to write stubs, spies, and how to read file and then use the test cases and many other such nitty-gritties. We then later spoke about how the Cypress entirely work with its, what is its architecture, like how it runs locally and in the CI system. We also spoke about GitHub actions, and we also spoke about GitHub workflows. And then after finishing up all this, we also spoke about and also seen how Cypress Cloud is pretty useful feature for us to use in case if you want to know more about Cypress and if you want to know more insight of how your test cases behave. So all of those things are done, and then now we have also spoken about how to do a cleanup task and other stuff, right? And there was another thing that we covered right in the beginning was component testing and end-to-end testing and how to determine what to choose, right? So that's all about the Cypress basics, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening and all that while. And if you're liking my work, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell icon in case if I post a new video, you would be notified. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be wrapping this up here. and I'll be starting a new series pretty soon in which I'll cover the latest and greatest features of Angular 19 or Angular 18 and further. So stay tuned and thank you.